Hello, thank you for joining us for this virtual walkthrough of our two current exhibitions. My name is Bradley Butler, and I am the Executive Director and Curator at Main Street Arts here in Clifton Springs, New York. Today we're going to look at some of the artwork in Eternal Ephemera and on our main floor, and then also I want to take you upstairs to look at some work in love songs on our second floor. Both of these exhibitions feature former Main Street Arts artists in residence and are open for viewing now through September 17th, which is next Friday. We are open from 11 a.m. until 3 p.m. on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then 11 to 6 p.m. on Thursday through Saturday. So I'm going to go ahead and reverse the camera here so you can start to see this show. These exhibitions were made possible in part by funds from the Decentralization Program, which is a re-grant program of the New York State Council on the Arts, administered locally by the Finger Lakes Community Arts Grants at Auburn Public Theater. So we are currently on the main floor, and this show that we're going to look at first is called Eternal Ephemera. And this is an invitational exhibition, group show, with work by former Main Street Arts artists in residence, Evan Bobrow of Rochester, New York, Lya Finston of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Scott McMahon of Columbia, Missouri, and Rowan Walton of Berkeley, California. The theme came together for this exhibition as the artists and artwork were chosen for the show itself. We knew that we wanted to feature former residents in this exhibition, and we wanted to see if a theme would kind of develop naturally based on the artists that we asked to be in the show. And so we came up with this exhibition, Eternal Ephemera, and it addresses the ideas of memory, myth, and imaginary worlds. So we're going to look at work by each of the artists, first starting with Lya Finston. Lya's prints and print-based sculpture in the exhibition came from two separate bodies of work, both dealing with supernatural phenomena, one relating to Jewish mysticism and the other to the Great Moon Hoax of 1835. This piece, Trees of Life, is made from screen prints and relief prints on paper. It's also made with cardboard and thread. And it has some great shadows, as you can see. Lya was a resident here in February and March of 2020, and was one of the last two residents here when the program went on hold due to the pandemic. And she also taught a workshop here really just days before we had to shut down. So she saw us through, and the program remains on hold at this point, but we do hope to start the program back up. So Lya says of her work, "I'm fascinated by the factualizing quality that the printed image has obtained due to its history as a primary disseminator of pre-digital information. Through printmaking and animation, I attempt to harness this quality as a means of breathing reality into supernatural phenomena. My recent work is largely inspired by Jewish ceremonial and folk art." So in addition to the Trees of Life, we've got some more of her work over here, the hanging piece in the next room, and then these two pieces here. This piece here is called Lunar Animals and Other Objects. This is a stone lithograph with screen printed color. And these two pieces address that Great Moon Hoax of 1835. that she's interested in. And then next, we'll take a look at the work of Scott McMahon. The photographs of Scott McMahon in this show make us think of the fleeting images of an inner memory, shifting and ever-changing. This comes through in his work both thematically and also through his process of photographing projections in his camera obscura. Scott was a resident here June of 2018, and we also interviewed him last April as part of our Revisiting the Studio series on our YouTube channel, where we interviewed former residents during the height of shutdowns due to COVID-19. So these two photographs, dwelling on our left here and then float on the right, are two of, I believe, 7 pieces that Scott has in the show. And Scott says of his work from this series, observing veiled and cloudy projections through a portable camera obscura, I started this series as daily visual exercises. As I began photographing the projections, I gained interest in the photography's ability to distill many images within a single frame, long exposures, movement, and subtle traces of objects passing before the camera or interrupting the projection. I see these fleeting forms as one might see the last dissipating image received on the retina, an image that cannot be retrieved but only partially reconstructed by memory. And since he's using a camera obscura and then taking the photograph digitally through it, you can see what he's talking about, especially in some of these kind of veiled tree limbs. But you get a really interesting image from that technique. And you can also, if you go onto our YouTube channel and watch that interview with Scott, you can see some of the work from the series he was working on at that time, last April, when he turned his whole house into a camera obscura, and he was projecting images from the outside to the inside. So next, we will take a look at the work of Rowan Walton. Rowan's cutout vintage car pieces exemplify the theme of this exhibition by using the vehicle itself as if it were a pine-scented air freshener hanging from that same vehicle's rearview mirror from a white piece of elastic string. So Rowan was a resident at Main Street Arts in April of 2019, and the two pieces we're seeing here are titled Paul up here and Valentina, and they're both painted on plywood. Rowan says of her work, like the classic pine air fresheners that hang off of a rearview mirror, these large plywood decals are a nod to some timeless additions to the world of automobiles. They are named after my fantasy crew of lady roadies. And similar to Lya's Trees of Life piece, I love the shadows that these cast as well. And she's got another one over here. This one's named Charlie. And then Rowan also has a digital piece, digital print of a digital painting in here called Kippertown. Kind of an imagined architectural study. Let's see. Next, we'll take a look at this work by Evan Bobrow. And through this immersive installation piece, Evan uses imagination to prompt an experience that creates a structure and a framework for something that doesn't actually exist. So Evan says of their work, the Moonrise Initiative is an ongoing exploration of intuitive world building inspired by Victor Papanek and James Hennessy's 1973 book, Nomadic Furniture. When we were children, there was a certain ease and effortlessness to imaginative play, and we were able to make truly intuitive choices. Moonrise attempts to harness that creative energy and ask, what will you imagine if you only follow these instructions? So you can actually get into this piece and kind of explore for yourself. And Evan actually has the book that inspired this, or at least partly inspired this, the Nomadic Handbook, along with drawings, and there's a projection that changes over top of a drawing, which is very similar to the work made during the Main Street Arts residency back in February of 2019. And the thing I really love about this is to actually view the projection from the reverse, because it totally, I don't know, it just changes it for me. I think probably because when I stand in front of it the other way, the light blocks what I'm supposed to be seeing. So, and there's also a video portion in here as well. Which has video spliced in. So I'll give you another walk around the space here, maybe see some things we didn't see prior. And as I mentioned before, this exhibition is on view through next Friday, September 17th. And next, we're going to be taking a look at the exhibition on our second floor. And I'm going to give you the whole experience as if you were walking up the stairs, so that's bound to be some good cinematic gold here. So this exhibition, Love Songs, is an exhibition of drawings and paintings of Sam Fratto and Geena Massaro by Geena Massaro and Sam Fratto. So the title of the show is taken from the Paul McCartney and Wings song of the same name, with the lyrics, "Some people want to fill the world with silly love songs." And this exhibition is a visual record of the relationship between the two artists. And I really love, the thing I love about this show is how full it is in this small space. And it gives you the kind of intimate feeling, being so close together here kind of goes along with the intimate feeling of the show itself. So both Geena and Sam would visit the studio during their respective residencies. Geena was a resident in July and August of 2019, and Sam was a resident in October of that same year. And they've made art together ever since then. We also interviewed them last April as part of our Revisiting the Studio series on our YouTube channel. And it's interesting to see the similarities that have developed in their work since their time here. And I really like to look at these two paintings in particular. So on the left, we've got Sam with Cup by Geena, and then we've got Geena on the right by Sam. And, sorry, I'm trying not to step on this pedestal as I'm walking around here. So it's, looking at these two paintings, either one of them could have been painted by either Sam or Geena. And it's just really interesting to see how when you work together with someone in such close proximity for such a long time, you start to rub off on each other. But there are subtle differences, and it's just kind of interesting to see that. And here's the sculpture that I was trying not to step on. These are swans and also replicas of Sam's feet made by Geena. And this is a reference to the time they spent looking at the swans at the hospital here in town. So that's Sam looking at the swans. And actually Lya from the show downstairs just asked if Sam and Geena met at the residency. They did not meet here, but I believe that they started dating shortly before Geena's residency. So if someone out there in Facebook land knows better, you can correct me. Let's see. And then, so thinking about the two of them working in the same space together, Geena says, "I was so lucky to have had Sam in the studio with me. It's a beautiful thing to be able to share a creative space with someone." And then Sam, on that same topic, said, "Geena and I are both open to a lot of different mediums and expressions of art, leading to a very exploratory environment to live in, and I am grateful for this." And so I want to share a couple of my favorite large paintings in the show. This one I've been showing you here is called Floating by Sam. And I just love all that space in between, and there are two heads floating up in the sky. And then similar, thinking about detached heads, we've got a detached arm, which is Geena. So Geena painted this one, and this one is called Sam and I, Is This Nice? And I just like that this is a painting of the two of them, and we see Sam, and then we barely see Geena's arm here, and it's just kind of laying there on the bed, which is really interesting. And so the two of them also made a Spotify playlist, which serves as the soundtrack for viewing the exhibition. And you can actually find Sam and Geena's extensive studio playlist on Spotify by searching La La Love You by Sam and Geena. So. And then over here we have a painting called Home, and this was actually painted while they were residents here. Or while, let's see, I'm trying to think. I think it was during Sam's residency. I could be wrong. They painted it here in what is now our library, then studio, and it was a collaborative painting. They tacked this raw canvas right to the wall and just kind of collaborated in the moment. So lastly, I'd like to take you into the Robert and Francie Marks Art Resource Library. We asked the artists in these two shows and also in exhibitions moving forward to recommend books from the library. So we've got those highlighted in here. But I also kind of wanted to just show off this space to you. So since this is called the Robert and Francie Marks Art Resource Library, we also have the work of Robert Marks in this space. You can see some of that here, and you can just kind of see the collection of books. We've got 1,500 books and counting in this library. And let's see, go back in here. And so I mentioned the recommendations. So when you visit the library, you can read what some of the artists in our exhibitions have to say about some of these books. And fun fact, all three of these books that were chosen by, let's see, Rowan Walton, Sam Fratto, and Lya Finston, these actually all belong to Robert Marks. So it's very fitting that they are in the library. I mean, under the sign for the library. Obviously, they're in the library. All right, so I'll just give you a little more here. And again, I mentioned before, we are open Tuesday and Wednesday from 11 to 3, and then Thursday through Saturday from 11 to 6. And this library, in addition to the exhibitions, are available to you during open hours. The two exhibitions end Friday, September 17th at 6 p.m. And we hope that you can stop by and see these shows before they end. So thank you for joining me. This has been hopefully a nice event. Thank you to Sarah for posting all the links on Facebook. And yeah, we'll see you soon. Thanks a lot.